Nagesh is a well-known thinker and international researcher in economic development, who's currently the Director General of the Institute for Studies in Industrial Development. He's also has worked with the UN before joining this particular issue. So, Nagesh, can I begin with a question to you? The G20 summit concluded recently with a lot of excitement. And it was certainly an unprecedented event in the sense that our colleagues, officials were able to get a unanimous draft, which hasn't happened in G20 summits, particularly since particularly the Russia and Ukraine. Even that was handled very adroitly, I would say, by Amitabh Kant and company. So now, for experts in the common man, please help us understand what does it mean for the future of India, the Indian economy, and what does it mean for India's relationship with the global South? I'm going to have a series of questions, so let's have a lively, interactive discussion, and no PowerPoints, of course.
Sure. We have had enough PowerPoints. No, thank you, first of all, Pradeep, for getting both of us here and have this evening with all of you. And the question which you have posed, and you have partly also answered, in the sense that it was a very big success because it produced a declaration, an adopted declaration, which was not expected even a day before it happened. And so the smooth passage of a declaration was by itself a big, event or big achievement for the G20 summit, because anybody who was following it up, all the previous meetings, every single ministerial, every senior official, they were not able to come to a conclusion of a declaration. They were all ending up with chair's summary. Chair summary is a second best kind of thing when you can't have an agreement on anything. So you allow the chair to read out a summary which represents generally the consensus, but not agreed by all. But the summit had a declaration which was, in my view, a big achievement by itself. Now, in terms of substance, and what you asked me to sort of share, that what does it mean for India? Obviously, G20 is a global forum, was discussing global issues, and was not directly talking about concerns, challenges, or problems Indian economy is facing, and was not trying to resolve any of the Indian problems. That said, but we are part of the larger global economy. And so anything which does to the broader global economy, it also affects and has implications for India. So from that point of view, since it recommitted the world to SDGs, for instance, this G20, it did number of issues it was touching upon, which would help to get the development agenda moving faster, and from that point of view, it would also help India. So the other thing, which is perhaps more directly related to India, is the digital public infrastructure. There was a big emphasis on digital public infrastructure. India's achievements in digital public infrastructure were showcased very effectively, and it generated a lot of interest among countries across the world for adopting some of these.
Nagesh, I'll come to that.
Yes. So no, I'm not going into detail, but a few other points. So that might create some demand for India's ICT services. So that is one direct thing. And of course, the other is the MDB reforms was put on the table very firmly which might lead to greater magnitude of lending or development resources coming to developing countries, and India being one of the developing countries might see an increase in inflow. And MSMEs, for instance, there was a agreement to start a portal for connecting MSMEs with the global value chains, which might also help Indian MSMEs. So, and then I think one more thing which happened on the sidelines of G20 was this IMAC, the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, which, in my view, could be a game changer in terms of connectivity and logistics for India's exports and other countries' exports if we are able to exploit its full potential. But just concluding,
no,
but
we'll have more
but
opportunities.
Israel, attack yesterday or day
Yeah.
before, puts a spanner in the, and so I think it would be put on the back burner for a while
Right.
until the peace is restored in the region. So that is an unfortunate part. And your second part of your question about how would it affect India's relationship with global South, I think there is a lot of achievement in terms of the fact that Indian presidency began with a Voices of the Global South in February with 125 countries, which helps to restore the credibility of the fact that India is serious about becoming a voice of Global South. And PM Modi wanted to bring on the table the agenda of developing countries. Then bringing a African Union as a full member also, I think, is a very defining legacy, which will stay for a long time. That it was in Indian presidency that African Union became a full member, and it extends the reach of G20. It makes it much more inclusive as a forum. So I think on that count, India achieved.
Thanks, Nagesh.